But to me, the landlord is not taking care of the parking lot the way it should be taken care of.
NDSU students living in an apartment building near campus are upset over a lack of parking, prompting a parent to call our whistleblower hotline.
The building has a policy that says if cars are not parked in the right spaces, they'll be towed. But as Valley News Team's Joshua Pagero learned, most areas where you can park are covered with mounds of snow.
Joe Keller's daughter is a student at North Dakota State University and lives near campus at the Bridges Apartments. He says last week her car was towed without notice, setting her behind $200.
When she found out that it was towed simply because it wasn't on the correct side of one of the yellow lines in the parking lot.
There's a sign in that parking lot that states cars will be towed.
And she missed work, but just think if there was a final test that somebody was going to miss instead of work. You know, it just doesn't make any sense.
As you can see, several parking spaces are crowded by mounds of snow, which the building maintenance crew has not cleared.
And then when you take the last spot available in the whole parking lot, and there happens to be a yellow line in that spot, what are you supposed to do?
Bud Service Company is in charge of towing cars, and they tell us the Bridges caused them to tow. The NDSU Foundation confirms to Valley News Live they own the land, but the developer Profit Limited Partnership manages the building.
The landlord is not taking care of the parking lot the way it should be taken care of, and the tenants are paying the price by getting their cars towed because they're simply not quite in the right spot, even though they've got no choice.
Most of the streets around the student apartment building have parking restriction signs like this one. And with some students already struggling to get by, adding hundreds of dollars in towing fees creates a burden, Keller says.
See right here, there's the yellow line. There's one that parks here, has no choice but to park over the yellow line.
He just hopes no other student has to go through this, and the way to prevent that is by hauling out the snow. In Fargo, Joshua Pagero, Valley News Live.
We gave Profit Limited Partnership 2 days to respond. They declined going on camera or answering any questions on when they plan to clear the snow from the parking spaces. All they say is they enforce parking policies.
And as we mentioned, this story was brought to us through our whistleblower hotline. If you need help with an issue in your community, call the number on your screen, 701-237-6576. We'll do our best to get to the bottom of it.
Police have a warning tonight after a hidden camera was found in a bathroom in a Devils Lake business. It was found last Wednesday and does show prior usage. While police are not confirming, at least one published report cites the Devils Lake Dairy Queen. Investigators are not sure about the dates of prior usage, but they are urging anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers at this phone number, 662-0739.
Fueled by a wind, it's certainly been a cold day, and it'll only get colder before it gets warmer. Let's get the latest on tonight. Hutch is here with your no-wait weather planner. Hutch?
Alas, it is a beautiful looking sunset out to the west as we do enjoy quiet conditions here across the valley. A few clouds along the South Dakota border, but all in all, things clear and bitter cold. Wind chill advisory into the mid-morning hours for your day tomorrow. Already below zero. Thief River, Roseau, Langdon, Devils Lake, and not far from that here in Fargo and Valley City. Factor in the winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour from the northwest. We have wind chills colder than 20 below already. Air temperatures by 8 o'clock will be at zero here in the FM area, on our way down to near 10 below into the early overnight. It'll be colder than that in Grand Forks, as we'll be well into the teens below by midnight tonight. Coming up here in a bit, we'll talk about how low we go, how long the cold air lasts, and we'll look ahead towards a milder weekend.
Let's focus on the latter part.
We will.
All right.
A man who Bemidji police say is armed and dangerous is still on the loose tonight. Police say 18-year-old Antonio Parkhurst is the man responsible for shooting two people Monday night in the 1100 block of Minnesota Avenue Northwest. Police say a 20-year-old male was dead on scene, but family members tell us the 17-year-old male victim is expected to make a full recovery.
I just heard someone screaming, and I just thought it was like a kid playing, and then all of a sudden we heard help, like just screaming like bloody murder. So we didn't know what was going on. I just thought someone was maybe being taken was my first thing, and then I heard her on the phone saying so-and-so has been shot.
Police did not provide a picture of the suspect, but he is described as a Native American man with short black hair, brown eyes, and a slender build. He was last seen wearing a red sweatshirt. Anyone with information regarding this case is encouraged to contact Bemidji Police.
A former officer in the North Dakota Labor Union is accused of embezzlement. A federal indictment accuses Chad Michael Waldock of stealing more than $107,000 from the sheet metal air rail transportation local 980. Authorities say the assets were embezzled between January of 2012 and October of 2017 while he served as the union's secretary-treasurer. The trial is scheduled to begin at the end of March.
Police say a Devils Lake man who was reported missing late last week has been found. Christopher Grafsgaard called into the Devils Lake Police Department and is okay.
Changes are being made within the Cass County Social Services. Chip Amerman, the former director of Social Services, will be reassigned to another duty. And a new director has been picked by the board. She'll start on March 16th. Other moves could be made involving Family Service Manager Linda Dorf and CPS Unit Supervisor Rick Van Camp. Last year, an investigation found that Dorf and Van Camp helped create a hostile work environment, impacting the staff's duties, including CPS cases. Both could be fired.
The potential actions that could be considered would be no action, suspension, a work improvement plan, reassignment, or termination.
The board will meet March 16th to discuss the future of Dorf and Van Camp. Also, the agency has indicated that it's changed its name from Cass County Social Services to Cass Human Service Zone.
No more lost rape kits, no more miscounted rape kits, no more untested and destroyed rape kits, and an enhanced ability to identify serial predators. That's the legislation introduced today that would what it would mean for Minnesota. A truly bipartisan bill introduced to mandate all rape kits be tested. The proposed law also calls for the creation of an online database where victims who for too long have been kept in the dark will be able to track what's happening with their sexual assault kit.
This is a historic sweeping change, and I am so excited to move this bill forward today.
There is no excuse for any delay. We should not deny justice to any sexual assault survivors. And this bill will provide some certainty for those survivors.
If passed, this bill also revolutionizes Minnesota's law enforcement's ability to track serial predators across jurisdictions.
Police are warning you to be on the lookout for check scams. Fake checks are being used in many types of scams, including mystery shopping, personal assistance, car wrap decals, sweepstakes winners, and overpayments. They're also printed, and the names of the addresses look legitimate with regarding to financial institutions. And they may even be real checks written on bank accounts that belong to identity theft victims. It can take weeks for a bank to figure out that the check is a fake. Now remember, never use money from a check to send gift cards, money orders, or wire money to strangers or someone you just met. Toss offers that ask you to pay for a prize, and don't accept a check for more than the selling price.
Tobacco use is still the single greatest preventable cause of death and disease in Minnesota, and communities in the valley are working in a variety of ways to reduce tobacco's harm. Minnesota student data from a 2019 survey shows that 1 in 4 teens are vaping, but the number is even higher if you count teenagers who are smoking cigarettes or cigars. But as tobacco prevention coordinator Jason McCoy says, those numbers are not accurate for our communities.
Here in our area, here the Partnership for Health works in, we're seeing in our schools an even greater rise. So we have school use of 32%, all the way up to 52% in some of our schools, meaning more than half of our students are actually vaping in some of our schools.
Free help is available to all Minnesotans who want to quit tobacco. You can find a link to resources on our Valley News Live app.
West Fargo's police K9 Macho and Brutus have both received a bullet and stab protective vest thanks to a charitable donation from a nonprofit organization vested in interest in Canines Inc. Brutus was sponsored by Margaret Kaler of West Fargo and embroidered with the sentiment gifted by Margaret Kaler. Macho's was embroidered by the sentiment born to love trained to serve, loyal always.
The Minnesota State Patrol is adding 2 new members to its canine family. Amon and Maddie were selected last week to train in narcotics detection. Both dogs are Belgian Malinois. Amon is an 18-month-old from the Netherlands. Maddie is a 2-year-old from Slovakia. They will attend canine school starting in April.
Later on Valley News Live at 6, early moves being made by some cities in the valley in preparation for what could be a challenging spring flood.
And all that purple you see on the map behind me, that is a cold Arctic air mass that is going to be making its way into the valley tonight. Not a bad looking sunset. I'll have details on warmer weather right around the corner right after this.